Russia's biggest port erupts after Ukrainian drone strike on January 14, 2025. The war in Ukraine took a dramatic and unexpected turn as Russia's largest port erupted in a massive fireball that was visible 4 kilometers. Moments after the strike, confusion flooded. Russian social media initially labeled an industrial accident. The truth quickly surfaced. Ukraine had successfully executed one of its most precise and damaging long-range drone attacks of the entire war. This wasn't a symbolic strike. It was a meticulously orchestrated operation designed to cripple a major logistical artery feeding Russia's frontline forces. Hours before the explosion, heavy cargo vessels lined the port, loading fuel tanks, ammunition containers, and specialized equipment destined for Russian units across the southern front. Ukrainian intelligence had been tracking these movements for days, identifying the precise windows when the port would be most vulnerable. When the drones launched, they flew low and fast, using blind spots in Russia's radar coverage and exploiting gaps that Ukrainian engineers had mapped out through months of data. Within seconds of arrival, multiple drones dove straight into critical storage zones, igniting a chain reaction of explosions. The shockwave shattered windows across nearby districts, and flames began swallowing warehouse after warehouse. Russian emergency crews rushed in, but the scale of destruction overwhelmed every response effort. By the time Moscow issued a statement, the port was already paralyzed. This strike wasn't just a blow, it was a strategic earthquake. The lead-up to the attack began weeks earlier, when Ukrainian reconnaissance drones identified unexplained increases in Russian cargo activity. Satellite images captured unusual nighttime movements, suggesting Russia was stockpiling weapons inside the port's hardened storage facilities, materials too dangerous or too valuable to move by land. Upon reviewing engine signatures, fuel types, and convoy heat patterns, Ukraine's intelligence units determined that Russia was preparing a major supply transfer to its southern military districts. The port became a perfect target, not simply because of its size, but because of its timing. Everything Russia needed for frontline operations was concentrated in a single location, waiting for shipment. Ukrainian planners knew that striking these materials mid-transfer would cause not just destruction, but chaos. In coordination with military engineers, drone operators began simulating attack angles, radar signatures, and approach routes. A special team focused solely on mapping Russia's electronic warfare activity in the region, identifying the exact minutes when jamming strengths were lowest. After confirming these windows, Ukraine finalized what would become one of its boldest drone missions, one designed not just to damage infrastructure, but to interrupt Russia's entire logistical rhythm. As weather conditions aligned and nightfall approached, the strike window opened. Every operator involved knew the significance: eliminate the port's operational capacity, and the ripple effects would be felt across multiple fronts. When the drones finally launched, they did so under strict radio silence. Each aircraft followed pre-programmed terrain-hugging flight paths, avoiding Russian radar by skimming just meters above the water. Their approach was nearly impossible to detect. By the time Russian defenses registered airborne objects, the drones were already seconds from impact. The first drone targeted a cluster of fuel containers that sat adjacent to the port's rail transfer yard. Its detonation triggered a massive fireball, igniting nearby diesel tanks and sending flames spiraling hundreds of feet into the air. The second drone dove straight into an ammunition warehouse containing artillery shells, grenades, and anti-tank munitions. This hit was catastrophic. Security camera footage later showed a blinding flash, followed by a shockwave so strong it knocked parked vehicles onto their sides. The third and fourth drones attacked the port's power grid infrastructure, disabling lighting, cranes, and automated loading systems. Without electricity, the port fell into complete darkness, leaving Russian personnel disoriented and scattered. In less than 2 minutes, Ukraine had disabled more than half the port's operational capacities. Russian radar crews scrambled to activate countermeasures, but confusion and conflicting reports slowed their response. As the fire spread, Russian troops attempted to activate anti-drone systems, but the attack's timing disrupted communication lines. Drone fragments damaged fiber optic cables, leaving command centers blind. Fire units rushed toward the burning warehouses, only to realize a second wave of explosions was imminent. Stored artillery and rockets detonated in unpredictable intervals, turning the area into a lethal hazard zone. The port's massive cranes, once towering symbols of industrial strength, now appeared as silhouettes trapped behind walls of smoke. The destruction was so severe that even Russia's state media struggled to contain the narrative. Eyewitness videos leaked online showing fuel tanks exploding like volcanic eruptions. Analysts quickly identified the scale of the strike. Not just a tactical operation, but a full-scale paralysis of Russia's largest maritime supply hub. International observers confirmed that the destroyed supplies represented weeks, if not months, of logistical preparation. Meanwhile, Ukraine released no official comments, maintaining strategic ambiguity. But one thing was clear: the strike had exposed Russia's vulnerability. As dawn approached, the full damage became visible. Firefighters were still battling towering flames that engulfed several square kilometers. Satellite imagery from early morning revealed smoking craters where warehouses once stood. Large cargo ships remained docked but heavily damaged, unable to escape due to debris choking the harbor. Port workers described the scene as apocalyptic. Twisted metal, collapsed cranes, and blackened shipping containers littered the coastline. Analysts estimated that millions of liters of fuel had burned, rendering transport channels unusable. This wasn't simply infrastructure loss, it was a critical interruption in Russia's ability to fuel and resupply its military operations. Commanders across multiple regions reported shortages within hours, forcing emergency rationing. Russian generals demanded immediate repairs, but engineers warned that reconstruction could take months. The strike didn't just destroy physical assets, it shattered operational confidence. It left Russia scrambling to relocate supply lines, while Ukrainian officials celebrated a textbook example of asymmetric warfare. Outside Russia, the world reacted quickly. Western intelligence agencies praised the precision of the strike, noting how it demonstrated Ukraine's growing capability to penetrate deep into Russian territory. Defense analysts highlighted the strategic brilliance of using cost-effective drones to cripple high-value infrastructure. International headlines captured the significance. A single coordinated strike had disrupted one of Russia's largest ports, an outcome once thought impossible. Military experts compared the attack to historic operations that shifted momentum in major conflicts. Social media erupted with speculation on how Ukraine had achieved such accuracy. Videos of the explosion reached millions within hours, generating global attention. Meanwhile, Russian authorities scrambled to downplay the incident, insisting operations would resume soon. But satellite footage easily disproved those claims. The world saw the truth. Russia had suffered one of its most damaging logistical losses since the start of the war. Ukrainian operators involved in the mission later revealed that the drones used were a mix of FPV kamikaze drones and long-range fixed-wing aircraft. Each platform served a distinct purpose. FPV units targeted specific explosive-sensitive buildings, while fixed-wing drones carried heavy payloads designed to tear through reinforced structures. Operators worked in coordination from multiple control centers to ensure synchronized arrival. Engineers confirmed that unique frequency hopping technology allowed drones to bypass Russian jamming. Soldiers described the emotional intensity of the mission. The weight of knowing one misstep could jeopardize everything. For many involved, the strike symbolized an opportunity to hit back at a logistical giant whose resources once felt untouchable. This mission proved that innovation could outmatch scale. It showed that strategy, adaptability, and precision mattered more than raw military size, and Ukrainian morale soared. In Russia, the aftermath turned chaotic. Supply officers panicked as they realized entire shipments of fuel, ammunition, and spare parts had been lost. Military convoys expecting deliveries were left stranded across multiple regions. Commanders issued frantic orders to reroute supplies from distant bases and inefficient and costly workaround. Meanwhile, civilian authorities struggled to contain environmental damage as thousands of tons of burning fuel leaked into the water. Fishermen, port workers, and local businesses faced massive disruptions. Panic spread through nearby neighborhoods as authorities evacuated residents, fearing further explosions. Russian media attempted to spin the event as a minor setback. But leaked internal documents told another story. The port had been crippled, and strategic losses were irreplaceable in the short term. Ukraine's strike had created not just destruction, but systemic shock. For Ukraine, this attack marked a new chapter in drone warfare. It demonstrated the ability to strike deep, disrupt large-scale logistics, and challenge Russia's long-held belief that distance offered protection. Military officials emphasized that such attacks were part of a broader strategy to weaken Russia's ability to sustain operations over long periods. By targeting ports, fuel depots, and transport hubs, Ukraine aimed to squeeze supply lines until they collapsed. The success of this mission encouraged further innovation. Engineers began upgrading drone payloads, operators refined tactics, and intelligence units expanded reconnaissance operations. The message was unmistakable. Ukraine was no longer merely defending territory, was reshaping the battlefield through precision and technology. Paragraph 10. Call to action. The strike on Russia's biggest port will be remembered as one of the defining moments of modern drone warfare, a mission that changed the tempo of an entire war. It exposed vulnerabilities, disrupted strategy, and proved that determination and innovation could overcome overwhelming scale. Ukraine's drone operators showed the world that even massive industrial networks can crumble under the weight of precise, coordinated strikes. As fires burned and the port lay silent, one truth emerged clearly: the future of warfare belongs to those who adapt fastest. If you found this breakdown powerful and want to stay updated on the latest major events, frontline shifts, and explosive drone footage, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next big story. Your support helps us bring you deeper analysis and on-the-ground developments every day.